Okay, hello everyone. We're starting our second artist. It's Edy de Toulouse-Lautrec, a French post-impressionist. I think you'll recognize some of his work once we look at it. And it should be a simpler, fun project that you can finish and mount, and that'll be good. Since I know the last one would turn out to be a little more difficult and a lot of people didn't finish. But hopefully it was a good experience working with those tessellations. Hopefully they had fun. Let's look at the slideshow here. Okay, here's Edy de Toulouse-Lautrec. As you can see, he's short, but he was not a midget or a dwarf. He actually broke both of his legs in childhood, and then when they healed so he could walk. You can see he has a cane, but he could walk. But they stopped growing, and the rest of him continued to grow to maturity. So that is why he was only 4 foot 8 inches tall, about the height of a 10-year-old boy. And so he was a little bit ostracized for that. Obviously, people didn't always treat him as kindly as they could. So that shaped some of his life. But we'll see just a little background in his childhood. When he was confined to bed, when he broke these legs, he drew a lot and became very good at drawing movement. He would watch horses at the racetrack a lot. And that movement is the drawing movement is part of what he became famous for. We'll see one of his early paintings here, and we can see that he is inspired by the Impressionists with all those little swishy lines, and doesn't look exactly like a photograph. It's what we called an ish painting when we did Renoir like 2 years ago. If any of you were there, if you have kids who are in the upper grades, they would have done that, where it doesn't look exactly like it would have, but it gives a feeling of the scene, a lot of movement there. He's well known for this painting of Van Gogh. They were friends. They would drink absinthe together and be out in La La Land a lot of times. I mean, obviously, Toulouse-Lautrec had a little bit of a difficult time socially, and so he would drink a lot, and lived kind of on the fringes of society. Like Van Gogh, and the kids will probably remember doing or learning about Van Gogh last year. And I think this is a really cool painting, just with, it might almost look like scribbling to the kids, all these hatched lines by the pastels, almost look like kid would color with a crayon, but it shows like that movement, kind of that frenetic energy from Van Gogh, who was, mentally disturbed, and like those bright colors is very Van Gogh. So he painted him kind of in a color, with all that yellow that Van Gogh loved, in a way that Van Gogh would have liked. So here is another one of horses, and this is a lithograph, and he ended up doing lots of lithographs. We talked a little bit about with Escher, and we're going to be doing a kind of a woodblock printing so they can see how that works. And you can note here that the image is backwards from how etched it. You can see that his signature in the bottom corner is reversed. And so you can remind them when they're going to do their printing that it's going to come out reversed. And so they're going to want to be aware of that when they're making a little sketch. Okay, so he became very famous for his paintings and drawings of dancers. And if you saw the movie Moulin Rouge, he is in it, not him himself, but somebody, I don't remember who it is, the actor, but plays him in that film, because he was a regular at the Moulin Rouge. And we don't have these paintings obviously in our presentation, but he is well known for his paintings of prostitutes and how he humanized them and drew them empathetically, because he had relationships with them, but was, kind of an outsider in that same way. But again, we won't be focusing on that. We're going to be focusing on his poster work that he became very famous for. You can see here how the man on my left-hand side is cut off. It kind of has that feeling of a snapshot, that feeling of movement, the dancing where that man was moving off camera. He's very good at depicting that. And you can talk about how the color of the woman in the front really draws our eye to her in that pink dress, but really she a lot of times what he has in the foreground is positioned in a way to draw our attention to the subject of the painting, which is usually kind of midway through, this dancer right here. So the owner of the Moulin Rouge liked his paintings, started to hire him to do advertisements, and he is known for, Toulouse-Lautrec is known for elevating the advertisements to an art form, and which kind of paved the way for later artists like Andy Warhol, where this mass-produced image was still considered high art. And you can see here, again, the man in the foreground is drawing attention to the dancer. There's not a lot of color, just some bold patches of color to draw the eye. A lot of time the tights of the woman dancing are boldly colored to draw your eye to that. So large flat areas of color made it easy to print it. And these just really, they would be posted all over Paris, and got a lot of reactions from people. Here's another one at the Moulin Rouge. He's actually in this painting, sitting down. You can see if the kids can guess which one is him. But you see the woman who was cut off in the foreground on the right-hand side just kind of has this eerie look to her with her face all green. I mean, he was looking at the world in kind of an altered state of mind. I don't know how you want to describe that to them, because he was constantly inebriated. But they just might have an interesting time commenting on what they see in this picture. It shows the movement and just kind of the otherworldliness of this nightlife. Okay, let's see. Here's a poster that I'm told is at the Red Robin in Sherwood. Actually, a copy of it. So that might be fun. See if the kids can find it, or if any of them have seen it there. Here, another one of his posters, and you can see the bold lines and how the what's in the foreground is just drawing attention to what's in the background, and the color usually on the dancer. And I'm going to have a book in the art room about Japanese ukiyo-e woodblock printing, which he was very inspired by. It might be, this is that big wave Japanese woodblock print that you see all the time. It might be interesting to show them a few of those images to see what Toulouse-Lautrec was using as his inspiration. Large patches of bold color, flat images, not a lot of perspective in these paintings, very simple, so that they could be reproduced, but still very artistic in its presentation. Let's see, and this, you can talk to them a little bit about caricature. This was apparently a very beautiful woman who he has made to look, kind of caricatured, like the length of her arms and hands and the features of her face. And this is what cartoons are based on, this idea of distorting the features to create this kind of absurd effect. I've heard that this person didn't really appreciate his painting, but this mode of character drawing was becoming more popular. And this, I think, will be good to just point out to them how the lines are so simple here, because they're going to want to be simple in their project. How he would minimal lines, minimal details in order to make the printing process simple. But but known for being like capturing that moment, the movement of the moment. And this last one, again, another one of dancers, just how he would use some simple lines to create that movement, like the wavy lines on the skirt and the hats. So again, just a lot of repetition, simplicity in the colors and the lines, but really capturing that moment and the feeling of the nightlife there, the dancers. And he created tons of these. What I said, over 5,000 drawings, 368 prints, 737 canvases. Like, he was, like, compare that to Escher. He was doing a ton, which is amazing because these are lithographs, but they're not detailed like Escher in that same way. But he died young of syphilis, which is not surprising, but sad. I don't have a book about him. Am I here? I don't know if you can see me. Okay, where did that? Here I am. Okay, sorry. Because he wasn't really, his life wasn't child picture book for children material, censored a lot. So, but I think they'll really like the project. We're gonna do a simple, quote unquote, woodblock printing. They're gonna do an etching. You're gonna have a little piece of styrofoam like this. We do have, I have like 800, so if they make a major mistake, but discourage them using more than one. I don't have 1200 for everyone to do two. So they're going to etch with a dull pencil, a simple drawing, whatever. I mean, kids will probably do little animals or a house and a sun, or they could do like a holiday theme, but a simple thing with not a ton of details, a flower, a snowman, with this. And it should easily, press down hard, but not too hard, so you make a hole in it. And so they're going to make their design on this, remind them it's going to come out backwards when it's printed out. You're going to have these little trays and the woodblock printing ink. You put a little bit on here, spread it around. We'll have like two little spoons to kind of spread it on there. You just need a thin layer. Roll the foam roller through it. Roll that onto the etching and then press it down twice onto, you're going to have half sheets of construction paper. Okay, and then it should dry pretty quick. I don't know, you might need to let it dry in the drying rack. I'm not sure of that. When I did it, it seemed like what I did dried pretty fast, but I don't know how that's all going to work with everyone. If some kids are finishing later, then it might not be all the way dry. So you might need to let it dry in the drying racks. But should be able to hopefully mount it. You might be able to mount them right away there. One option, this is going to be pretty quick, that they could have two pieces of construction paper and do this to mount it. And then print again, and they could make it into a card maybe that they could do if they finish early. Here's another example. This looks like it's facing the right way maybe to you because of this computer screen, but it's actually Godex is printed backwards. So you discourage them probably from using letters because it's going to print backwards unless they're super talented and can write backwards and have it print forwards. I doubt it. So pictures, please, not words, but you can mount it like this with the actual, to show the process with the actual styrofoam and then how it printed out, or you can just show how it's printed out. Either way, so again, it should be pretty simple for them to do their little sketch on here. You just need to, if you have an extra parent to help, that might be good because you might need to be at the tables helping them make sure they don't get the ink everywhere. I don't know how well it washes out of clothes, so hopefully they won't get it all over. But beside that, yeah, just remind them they can't erase. So they need to, we can have even white paper so they could plan out their drawing, I think, and then etch it on because we don't want to be using up a ton of these. Okay, so I think it might be easier in the art room. Some teachers might not want the ink all over there just to have it in their classroom, but we'll have the art card available. It'll definitely be doable there. So yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully everyone will enjoy this. And just let me know if you have any questions. Thanks so much.